into this evening's live, and we see that the price is now dropped below $2.40, and it's in the same direction that we anticipated yesterday. It made the move up exactly like we would have liked, up to around that $2.55 mark before getting rejected a couple of times. And then back testing now the setup that we had laid out in front of us that we suspected might happen, especially if it was coming back to try to validate this movement, to try to show that we were in some kind of W reverse. So we talked about this earlier in the live as well, talking about how we didn't think that that little setup here was anything to pay attention to. It was more of a bear flag that was going to play down into this range. And now it has played out into this range. And I think that it's showing us quite the setup here. So we'll see exactly how this plays out. Now we want to see, first off, whether or not we get a reject here. Let me erase some of this stuff now that this has played out. We were projecting this from the past into the future, and now it actually played out that way perfectly, actually. There was nothing that didn't play out like we suspected. Played out like a shoulder. This came all the way down. Now what we want to see is if we get a rejection here on the back test, because then we'd be stuck inside the pattern if we get rejected at, let's just say, 241. If you're asking me when you could make a play, if you're not in, or if you're trying to do something sneaky, I mean, you got to make sure you break back over this setup and this and make sure that this is in fact an arm, because I still think it could come down. Even if it wanted to, it could come down all the way to 231-ish, 228, and I think it still wouldn't invalidate it, but it would kind of make this a little more unorganized, so to say. Figured being in this room, I could strategically have my championship belts behind me now, so don't get to show those off very often. Not that you can read what they say, but, nonetheless, still makes me happy to see them behind me, since I probably won't be able to buy another one for the next 25 years. But I hope everybody's having a blessed evening. I really do. My face is healing nicely. I mean, I know it looks bad, but it is healing. For any of you who don't know, and I got first-degree burn on my face, like the whole side of my face. It wasn't just small parts, like my whole side of my face. Remember Bagelgate we had? Now I had Coffeegate. So Coffeegate on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. I was making Julie coffee, and the end piece broke off where the coffee was in, like into the filter thing, and it bounced off the counter, and I had turned my head, and it just whoosh, So Coffeegate, first-degree burn. So it's not saying it wasn't bad, but it's an interesting feeling when you feel your face, my face peeling off. But now I have fresh baby smooth skin is the way I'm gonna look at it. But anyhow, XRP is sitting here. We're gonna see if we can get past this 241 area, or if it's gonna come straight down. But it looks like we could be building this inverse head and shoulders. We talked about this setup before it even formulated, and it actually came down. But now that it's coming down, I mean, if this does build something, it still makes sense if we do something like that. So we got to watch this, because then you could be like, oh, shoulder. So shoulder, head, shoulder. But we're just waiting for it to build up, and then we could get the consolidation back test and out. That'd be an ultra bullish setup if that happens. Let's take a look on the 30-minute. Who cares about that? Let's take a look on like the 4-hour release, finally pushing back into oversold, which is nice. Daily got way in the aggressive area, which is nice. Like, this isn't a bad thing. This is nice. We're in the ultra aggressive mode right now. We're not overbought. 4-hourly starting to wrinkle out here now, which is beautiful. The weekly time frame is where I get the most how do I say this in the nicest possible way? Where I become the most how do I say it? And this isn't, well, I can't say it like that, because then you're going to say, oh, that's like that. And I'm going to say, no, I swear it's not like that. It's all in your mind, you dirty bastards. But this is where I become most infatuated, let's just say, with the pattern, for a lack of a better word. Aurelie, welcome in, and thanks for being such a loyal viewer and such a great part of this community. Mike B, good evening, and thanks for being in Times over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. AMP is really pushing up. Is it really? Ooh. It's about freaking time, AMP. And I seen some of you, the reason I sold out of the copy trade isn't because we're going to stay out of it long. It's because I felt like there was going to be a downturn, and it's nice to see it down 5% after the sale, or 6% or 5.5. I don't know what it is, 5.3 right now. But I intend on buying it back sooner rather than later. And the couple people that were having issues able to get it figured out. So we got to take a little bit of a profit, and now we'll be able to get it at 5% or 10% or wherever we get cheaper. Ooh, nice inverse head and shoulders on AMP here. Look at this. This is actually set up for a breakout. 4 hourly's pushing down still. And you don't know when it's going to break out exactly. But we've got an inverse head and shoulder set up here. It's been way, way overdue. It's incredible it's taken this long. We'll see. We'll see if I can get back over this. Very important. It's like zero. That's unbelievable. It's a cheap. 0033 is where we need to get past. First layer is, well, 003 would be the first layer. But that's kind of like just projectiles. I mean, we don't even know. Now it created it a little bit lower, honestly. So we're going to have to get back. That's crazy. Imagine if this actually, or when it does, if it does at this point, have the pullback that some think it's going to, or hope it's going to. I mean, it's building a huge long-term pattern here if you just kind of connect it. Let's get rid of all this nonsense. I remember the last time I drew on this chart. It's been a very long time. And yeah, we've got the short-term fallout, and then we've got a very wide pattern that, I mean, if this is the bottoming phase, it was down at like, I mean, that's still a substantial drop from where it's at, though. I can't even articulate it good enough unless I bring out the... I'm going to get back in the XRP because I don't want to focus too much on AMP, but I seen Tanya talked about it. I wanted to give her a little insight. That's 60% if it fell out. But it does look like it's trying to put in a bottoming phase. It does. It came back down and retested the all-time low. That's something, man. Now we gotta get past this fallout phase. See what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. It's caught in between right now, I can tell you that much. But if it does reverse, and this is, what the hell? If this is the support and it does reverse, I mean, you're talking about coming all the way back up to 1.75. Oof, that's a big move. That's a big move. Like, that is a serious move. Imagine having like $2,000 there on that at this point, right? And then or $3 grand goes up 6x. You're talking $12,000 to $18,000 in return. Who knows when it's going to happen? But it does tend to move very volatilely when it does. Let's see where the weekly and monthly are at in the stochastic here, real quick, just out of curiosity. Monthly's trying to even out just a tiny bit, but it's past neutral. Weekly's turning up. I mean, it's showing a little bit of prudency here, honestly. Daily, overbought. That's where the interesting dilemma is. Not dilemma, but that's something that's relevant. 4 hourly is turning down. Does seem to have some kind of setup here, though. Although that could be a triple top as well, so that's never good. So maybe we have to come back and formulate. You know, now the more that I look at this, I could see it coming back to like... Ooh. I don't know if it'll come all the way back down here. Maybe it reformulates at 0024. Doesn't necessarily have to. Maybe to clear this out a little bit. Never know. I'm always looking for a springboard. Maybe the springboard's already happening because it does have this inverse pattern set up. But anyhow, I could sit here and talk back and forth all day, but I won't. Up 6.68%. Could be the early reverser. Let's see this. This is another one that I don't necessarily want to be out for too long. Oversold in the 2 hourly. 3 hourly pushed down strongly, as a matter of fact. Oversold beautifully. 4 hourly pushed back into oversold. Daily was overbought, which is a distinct issue here. It is a daily reversal here, too, so I want to see how this plays out first. Because we had the 2.088 billion tokens released yesterday. We've seen some negative turnaround here, and since 16 over 16% of its circulating supply was added, you know, you'd look for some depreciation of about 16% if we don't have any catalyst of buying. And right now, if we go down 16%, we should still come down. I mean, we could get closer to 1 cent in theory, 1.3. Right now we're at, or 1.03. Right now we're at 1.22. I could still see it coming down another 10-15% from here if we don't rotate up. Now, is the market going to start doing what AMP's doing? That's the question. But remember, AMP today had already gone up to 3039. So I know it's up 6%, but I mean, it was up. Maybe it'll come back up. It was up 20% on the day. I know a lot of people too were watching DGB to see if it was going to stay front run. I said, hey, just understand, like I know what it did now and it's exciting, but please take some of that profit. And I don't say that for no reason. It's just I've been a part of DGB and I've known about it for a long time. And I wanted people to actually take profit because it's notorious for making these big runs. And then it comes down 50%, 60%. Right now it's down 25% from the top. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's not horribly set up. This isn't even the right chart, but it's not. This was when I was in it before up the breakout. Or when we were talking about it. But it's not like it's horribly set up. Daily's back into neutral. Weekly's overbought now, though, so that's something. Unlike a lot of the other ones that are still massively in the oversold, DGB's now kind of on the wrong side of town with that weekly. I'm always looking for the weekly to be oversold to start looking for entries. And when they're overbought, you start looking for profit. DGB's way up there in the weekly now. It's pretty interesting because look how oversold XRP is compared to DGB. DGB's overbought and XRP's oversold. So there's something materializing here. I can promise you that. We're just going to have to be vigilant, but I can promise you that. Yeah, VeChain was up 10% earlier, but they can't sustain on their own. Those are the trap tokens for the day. Everybody's seen them go up, and then they're looking at their own and saying, oh my God, we're about to have a big market side rally, and then they start buying in just to see the other ones just dump back out. But there's something building. But there is some negativity in the news right now, so it's not good. So what came out with China is not a good thing for risk assets, at least in the moment. Coming out and saying the USA hacked and stole 127,000 Bitcoin from China. I always said that I think the government is actually stealing ours through the cold wallet, hot wallets, and they're disguising them as like scams from India and all this other crap. I think they're the ones doing it, but I digress. Good evening. 6:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, November 11th. 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, is the market feeling any more pessimistic? I certainly think so. Are a lot more people saying, see, I knew this was a joke? I believe so. Are a lot more people saying, I keep buying the dip, but it never seems to be the actual dip, and now they're running out of money? I believe so. So for all those reasons, we continue to monitor this in a very positive way. We continue to see the fear and greed index slipping off the charts. And I know it hasn't released, I don't believe this one yet. We got another 10 hours, but it's at 26 now. Well, it says 29. No, it's 26. Yesterday it was 29. So we're going down. I suspect, I was going to say, I knew we had one coming soon. So 25 minutes. So we'll be on still. We'll look at this in 25 minutes. And we'll take a look to see the fear and greed index as well. Tanya, thanks for being in Tanzania for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. And I really appreciate that, love. Thank you so much. This light has gotta go. Ooh, much better. I appreciate that, Tanya, greatly. And the information too about AMP. It says AMP got good news this week, so that's why it's up. That's good enough that's better than not reason. Mr. Carter, welcome in. Tony Carter, thanks for being in Tanzania for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. And from other second choice, hashtag M2C, out there in the Outback. Thank you so much, Mr. Carter, for being here. Being a very, very loyal person in this audience. We have some of his music that we're allowed to play. I just, for some reason, it gets all scrambled up and then I gotta find it. I think I have to find it because of this new device when I got it, which is kind of a shame. What else was I reading? Let's see. Man and his dog, welcome in and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Emerson, welcome in and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 2 years with the XP589 Moon badge. Mike B and Shane, good evening and thanks for being in Town Zone for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. That Constellation is being listed on Kraken. Ooh, that's a good one for me too. Well, if that's the case, we can add it to our list. That actually makes me very happy. That's going to go on this one. I know it's not technically an XRP microcap, but I put this category for a reason. For anybody who's a fan knows that this is where I put it. It's actually really nice because it's so cheap. I wish they would have it on there earlier. Nice inverse head and shoulders. I wish it was already on there. Look at that setup. Looks like it could be coming up for a retest. Anyhow, I'm not going to talk a lot about it today, but we'll talk about it more, obviously, if that's the case. Which that would be great. That's one of my all-time favorites. That I was just not. How about this? It's one of my all-time favorites that has never been available, really, for me to purchase outside of when I was on Uphold. But Uphold's a joke. So first XRP ETF approved by SEC. Interesting. Pepe. It's not up my forte. It's not on my list. I don't have much thought of it. Some people might like it, but I'm not. I know it appears to have possibly some utility, but it's just not on my radar. My mind works in a different way. That's more. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't fit my agenda. That's all. What do we got going here? Gold right now, since the flip at 6, or no, now 5, is up $14.15, 4,139. Strong rebound. Silver's back up over 51. Wow. Big movements. We're very smart with XRPN, XRPNU, and XRPNW to monitor it. No reason to buy them yet. We need to see how these charts start playing out for the next few weeks. Get that buying bias out of the way. Evernorth is down a good chunk of money right now, and they're starting to be like, oh, you see, this is why you have to play the Bitcoin treasury and not the XRP. It's everywhere. So, could be a nice inverse head and shoulders here setting up, though. Like, real talk, if we're getting a market-wide reversal, at $1.05, where it's at right now in this range, we really need to think about it. What our plan is going forward, because it's starting to push into oversold with what we have to work with. We don't really want to go back. You know, we can't. They erased the old chart now, but you can't really go back. But in the weekly, we are definitely need to come down. So I would almost think, like, if we could wait this out and we did have a correction, maybe it does come down and cut in half or something. Post-merger talk, you know, because it's a blank check company. These acquisition companies. So most people are investing for the actual merger, or the acquisition, I should say. And then it ends up dumping down a significant amount because all those early holders are selling it now that it's switched over. Now all the people that bought in because they're actual fans are bag holders. Until it comes back down. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for like a 50%, like 50, 60 cents. People are probably laughing, but that's what I'm looking at, I think, for XRPNW. This is on the NASDAQ. XRPN, which one? Let's talk about XRPNU first, because that's more volatile. XRPNU, I'm looking for pretty much the same thing, a reset. I'm looking for a reset. I mean, it popped all the way up there. This one's not crazy volatile, but look, it popped all the way up here on probably, you know, you're watching this, and then all of a sudden the news and stuff. Now you got to dump back down, and now I know this has only been part of, you know, the XRP treasury on the NASDAQ for a few days, but you still got to look at the whole chart because these are the buyers that are buying it based on the fact they think they're going to get an acquisition. They do. They sell out. Now everybody who's fans again about like XRP, Ripple are buying it in, and it's just, and this is by design. There's going to be more funds by Evernorth and these treasuries being put in, but we gotta find the right area. So we're gonna wait. If it ends up weekly gets way oversold and stochastic and it starts looking in our favor, well, then we'll start buying. Daily's oversold, but I think it's gonna trend that way until we clear this out. It almost looks like it's meant to. We'll see though. And then again, it's a nasty chart right now. Looks like a head and shoulders double top. Left shoulder, double top on the head, right shoulder form. So it makes me feel like it's just, like I said, I've seen these acquisition companies a lot when people invest. I've been part of it, but SPCE was one of them. These SPAC companies, you got to be careful because people are buying in on the hope that something's going to happen. Probably had some fake shit go on here where something was announced and it just never materialized, or something happened with this company years ago with some other kind of acquisition. But anyhow, it moved up, and then over here you're getting the people who are getting excited about the possible XRP acquisition. Dumps down. There's something happening, So I mean, be careful with all of this. You just got to find the right spots. But yeah, the one you're going to get a dividend on here in 2026. The one we're going to get. It's all an illusion. I would not be surprised. And thanks for being down for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, along with the Cannabis Podcast. Says it's all an illusion. Says the Canary Capital ETF can start trading Thursday. Imagine the government opens tomorrow, and the first order of business for the SEC is to delay the Canary Capital ETF. That would be ironic. But I mean, is the government really going to open on tomorrow? But don't you see what happened? To keep the government open, they had to put us further and further into debt. You see how gold and silver exploded on the news? Because they want to keep printing money and expanding our money supply, expanding the dollar, the U.S. Currency supply, I should say. This is going to keep happening. It's just going to keep happening. And gold and silver is, it's the golden ticket, man. It really, really is. It really, really is the golden ticket. Won't actually reopen till Thursday. Vote tomorrow, open Thursday, and mass approval. We'll see what happens. I think government reopens. I think they're setting the stage for like the Project Bluebeam because they need us to fall in line. So that'll be interesting if I'll be able to do a show if that's happening. Oh, if we're getting a fake alien invasion, I'm assuming I'm still going to come on here because it's all I know. But that's coming. That's coming. Tom, you should... I love it. Mike Oxmel says, Tom, your show is the only reason my Vaseline jar stays empty for the last 4 years and my keyboard goes. See the compliment? Well, I thank you for that, Mike. I do. I thank you for that. I'll take it. At least somebody's enjoying it. James says won't actually open until Thursday. Thank you for that, Mr. Dula. Rob C, welcome in. All ETFs for SLL, Bitcoin, and H-bar dump when we got ETFs. Oh, absolutely. We usually dump like some fit up to 75%. It's on illusion says what they're doing is diabolical. The U.S. is going to be 50 trillion in debt in no time. Somehow it's our debt. It is our debt. You go to the the debtclock.org and it's like 300 and something thousand per tax-paying citizen, or 100 and something thousand per citizen. So under a sovereign debt crisis, they come collect that from us. So when they print money, when they expand it and things like that, it's not, they're not gambling their own money or their own currency. They're stealing it from us. Seriously. It'd be like somebody taking credit out in your name and you knowing about it but not caring. And then eventually one day shit hits the fan after so many decades or whatever the case may be, and they come collecting and you're like, well, wait a minute, I didn't actually make the purchase. Yeah, but you've seen that they were doing it in your name. Well, so I mean that's where we're gonna be. Tom Dag on WEEX. I bought there. Interesting. See, I only use WEEX for IOTA. So I wasn't even thinking about looking for DAG or anything. I literally only buy and have IOTA on WEEX. Great platform though. So I'm glad you said that, James. That's in the video description below and our pinned comments of this very live if you're interested. Even when it gets reposted. But that's right, it's no KYC worldwide, and that's why I have my IOTA. And I love it. And then if you want to join the copy trade, please make sure you click on the link to TOOBIT. Once you sign up, go to COPYTRADE, type XRP Future Millionaire. It's going to say my name exactly like it's supposed to be spelled out. I'm the only person. It's got my same logo for my channel. I updated it. I don't know if they approved it. The actual logo. And then subscribe. Don't just follow. You have to hit subscribe to the copy trades. And then if you're in the Telegram, I advise you to follow the copy trade info. It gives you step-by-step directions so you can be part of it. I sold it out and it dropped 5-6%. We were up a small amount, like $30 maybe, nothing major. I didn't even want to sell it, but just the way it was set up with the token release, I'm like, this is a good time. And there was a few people that were trying to get into it and they couldn't figure it out. And now they got it figured out. So that makes me happy. There's at least 2 extra people that'll be a part of it this time. But if you go into the copy trading agreement, defined it as phenomenal job here, step by step by step. And now it's not 2-bit trader though. It's XRP Future Millionaire. I think he updated it though. I don't know if he did update it. But it's actually XRP Future Millionaire. I thought he updated it. I guess not, but the point remains when you go in there, you have to hit the subscribe button instead of the heart button. There's a lot of people that are hearted but not subscribed. Now there's 13 people, but there's like 23 people that are hearted, but only 13 actually hit the subscribe button. So you can't actually do the trade unless you actually hit subscribe. So still remains. And then BITUNIX, I use that for Proton XPR. I'm not in it as of right now because it's the buy and sell game until we find the right floor. But that is where I hold the spot, at least for now. So James, you moved your H bar and algo to uphold the stake. I vehemently would warn you against using uphold. Like, I would not take that chance, but yeah, to each their own. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is just my prerogative. I have 1,000 XRP from Julie's account that are still locked up and never gave back from 2023 that are now worth, $2,400. They let her take off all of her other stuff except that. And it's been locked since 23. They banned her account with no reasoning. She's paid taxes for 3 years out of uphold. Did her ID verification, all that. Everything was fine. She started making a little bit of money and that happened. So proceed with caution, everybody, on uphold. And there's nothing I can do. And if you think I have power because I have 47,000 people watching me, well, I don't. Because they don't give a fuck at all. Couldn't give a rat's ass. That's why I lose respect every day for Ripple and XRP ownership, because they push the uphold exchange vehemently, like almost like they have a butt in the, dick in the butt relationship, no pun intended. But that's what it feels like. Do you think Ripple will ever do anything with Evernode? It's a hell of a question. They certainly give the illusion that they will have something to do with Evernode, but I don't know. Seems like we're going in 500 different directions as a company, so I think there's big things happening. It's going in directions I don't think we can quite understand, because I think it's more about control and this one world currency and this biometric scanning. We're getting into something. April of 26 is not going to be fun. Just pay attention if you live in California and New York and some of these areas where we've already voted in the Islamic or the Kaza is taking control. April of 26, it starts. You heard it here. April of 26, it starts. It's starting in Dearborn right now, but they're not talking about it on the press. Do you know what's happening in Dearborn? They voted in the Kaza there, and they've been in there. And now people are pissed because they told there's a few people, white, Catholicism, Catholic, Christian, those kind of things. And the mayor told them, "You're not welcome here anymore. Get the hell out of my city," because it's Islam now. And there's the bells ringing all day. So if you don't think it can happen in the USA, it's happening like, 40 minutes from my house. So it can. And it will. And it's getting worse. Your major landmarks in the USA are now run that way, starting with New York and California. But starting in April, New York, California, something's being imposed at. Start doing some research. Start doing some research. Let's see. Dirty train ride. Yes, we are trying to petition the government to stop minting them. Who the hell's, why? Okay, that's a waste of time. Who's dirty? Cost 13.7 cents to make a nickel. Just another waste of money. Don't even waste your time with that nonsense. That's the least of our worries, is that they're overcharging us on nickel. That's the least of our worries. Honestly. Don't use your petitioning powers for something better than that. You're speaking about pennies here. We got $50 trillion in debt. Your few $100 million isn't going to do much. I respect the cause and I agree with you. Okay. I love you. Am I being too loud? Oh. But no, I agree they're screwing the tax holder, but that's just something we don't even need to worry about that. We got so many other problems. We got so many other problems. Am I bullish on XRP long term? We'll see how bullish we are in the micro if we can hold 237. Well, I mean, we could come down all the way, but it's hard right now because there's just some stuff that came on that's not exactly great for risk assets today that we couldn't have predicted that this kind of news would come out. But as of right now, I'm looking to see if this inverse head and shoulders plays out. We're inside of this pattern formation still. So, but I mean, I've got so many charts because you can set this up and you can see how from different perspectives and different lengths of time. But this whole thing is a mess. What they're doing with the government, what does this say? How's this crap?
The ayes are 60, the nays are 40. The bill as amended. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table. He declared the drop.
So this is just for the continuing vote. Is that what that's for the vote on? Is that what I'm saying? Question nobody is talking about. Canary Capital filed the final Form 8A with the SEC on November 10, 2025, which is a required step for ETFs to be listed on the NASDAQ. Could be any day now. Nobody's talking about it. We've talked about it many times for many days on here. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Nobody's talking about. We've talked about Canary Capital more times than I can even explain. Are you talking about today? No one's talking about it, or like generally no one's talking about it? Not this community. I'm just trying to understand your comment, because I can tell you, just take a look at just the recent content. You'll see even a dedicated thing that I did for Canary Capital, so that nobody would have to watch an hour-long thing. It was like a 3-minute little video, just like a couple days ago. I don't know. Let's see. Anyhow. So the easiest way for XRP is we broke below the support structure. And now we have to see if we do in fact create this reversal. If we can create this reversal, yeah, in the micro, we're going to be pretty bullish here. 4 hourly suggests we could push down a little bit more, which I'm not surprised. We have it drawn down a little bit farther here if it wants to come down. But at some point, you got to hold the integrity here. So we're not going to want to come much farther than like 228 if we come down here. Like, really not going to want to come much farther. So, and it's in our best interest to pull up at some point here and break out of this pattern. I guess, I mean, in general, I seen that yesterday. Its ticker will be XRPC on that. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, you're talking about in general. You would be right about that. Sorry if I'm being blunt. I can't talk as loud because my son's sleeping and he's been dealing on and off with a fever. He doesn't have one right now, but he's unfortunately not been able to go to school, and he probably won't be tomorrow. But he's only got half days the next 2 days. But he hates it. He loves going to school. But there's a lot of stuff going around. There's pneumonia that was going around in the school that Scarlett caught that she's better from now, but now, it just goes through. So I can't talk loud, so it might be coming off as me being a dick, but I'm really not trying to be. I feel out of place because I can't talk loud and I kind of got to whisper. Anyhow, I'm sure you understand. But yeah, no, that's the excellent information. XRPC, absolutely, on the NASDAQ. It's another one we're going to have to be covering too when it comes to it. That's definitely one you're going to see added to my page, because that's just, I want to hammer it home every which way with XRP, through the stock market, through crypto. It's nice when you whisper because it feels like you're talking with us, not at us. I agree with that. I definitely noticed that in the last couple of lives when I talk quieter. It's well, sometimes I get loud, but when I talk quieter, it is more like having a conversation. I agree with that, James. 100%. 100%. Well, sometimes I'm not talking at you, I am yelling at you. But most of the time I'm trying to talk at you and it comes off wrong. Sometimes I'm trying to be blunt. Not tonight though. Right now though, it still feels like we've got a little bit of downward momentum here, and I don't know if it's we'll have to watch because the hourly's rather oversold in stochastic, which means it's starting to drag out a little bit. Same with the 2 hourly. So, I mean, honestly, if we print another 2 hour candle, see, we came down, wick below. This could be a left shoulder wick, head. Next wick would have to come and then match probably a low at 238. So we'd get a small down. Clock flips in 2 minutes. We get to see the fear and greed index. We get to see the daily close in 2 minutes, and then I suspect also the 2 hour candle that if this is a reversal, we're going to find out really quickly, because this is like a 2 hour shoulder, head, then you come down to another shoulder, so the candle would look similar to this one except down farther with the wick or the bottom. Then it would start reversing, and then you'd have a close somewhere over 241.5. But that's in a bullish scenario. In a bearish scenario, it makes a new low. Pretty simple. And then we have to come down into this range, which I think is feasible. It can happen. But the farther you pull down, the closer you are to hitting that weird spot. Nick says, whisper, yell, who cares? Information is all the same. True. It's true. And thanks for being in Times under 3+ months with the X-Free Meteor. EOC says, I digress. It is way more interesting when Tom can be his whole out self. I don't disagree with that. I definitely don't disagree with that, my friend. It brings a little bit more personality to him uncensored. There's no doubt about that. What does this say? According to Google. Oh, I wanted to read that. What did it say? Oh, they deleted the Google one. I can't see it. And because I'm not on my account, I'm on Julie's, I can't see what it said. Don't worry, everyone. Juice Man is here. How blessed are we, Juice? And thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That is my face super and pose on an emoji badge pre-first degree burn. So aren't you special? It's a special. Here's the daily close. Let's see where the fear and greed index went to. I'm always very, very curious. So we're at 26. Ooh, back to extreme fear, everybody. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Oh, did you see the champs on in the house? I didn't see them hanging around there, did you? Oh, what's this? The other champions belt. Didn't notice those back there. Be the last time I have one of these. Yeah, fits perfect. The champs. Well, actually, we're not the champs. Now it's Ohio State. 1970 Legends not here, but he'd probably have fun with it. You're welcome, Juice. You're welcome, my friend. You are welcome. But 24 back in Extreme Fear. Love it. Love when people get fearful, especially extremely fear. Let's see the Bitcoin long and short ratio. We'll go to the daily. 51.93% going short, 48.07% going long, 55.73 billion short compared to 51.5. There's $4 billion more short for liquidity if we go up than if we go down for the longs. That is a notable that is oops, my bad. That is notable. Noted. For Ethereum, we have 51.8% going short, 48.18% going long. There is about $2.7 billion more if we go up than down for liquidation purposes. And for XRP, we have 51.69% going short, 48.31% long, and there's 2.66 billion long, 2.85 billion short. So smaller margin, but there's still a decent amount of money there. Decent amount of money there separated. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. Oh, wait a minute. That's not everything, but that is very interesting. We still got to go to one more chart. What am I doing? Of course, we want to see if we get that push out. Well, I mean, we're going to have to. We have to see how we react to the $2.40.1-ish. Let's see. I want to go back to, let's see if I can find it. There it is. Just so I don't have to do a whole bunch of searching. Well, not searching, but. So we came up, we tapped these liquidity areas. Looks like a little head and shoulders. Now, I mean, either we're going to catch here, or we're going to come back down to these areas again and start tapping this zone. We got two rather large liquidity zones in comparison to what's above us right now. We've created this downside liquidity down here at about 214, 222 area. If we look in the monthly, it'll be slightly different, which I think is warranted. We really should look in this time frame as well. Monthly will still show us this massive amount of liquidity up over the top around 270, which is great. It's a great thing to see. And then if you take the 3-day, you're building liquidity, but we took out, the strong areas, so it's pretty flat above and below. 12-hour. You got some mild ones up and down. You got a nice little strong point that started here at 246. Maybe retest the drop point. That's interesting as well. Could be a small inverse pattern starting here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, consolidating. This is the buy area after the drop. This is where if it's going to reverse, this was the buy area. If it was going to reverse. What happened? How did I do this? But yeah, I mean, if it reverses, we're in the buy zone. It's just if we fall through, I mean, that's the wall. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, so you have to make a decision. But this is what I think is happening. Not much below us here right now in the monthly. Out of curiosity, let's see the 6-month, even though it always acts up. Hey, 1970 Legend, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. I just talked about you, and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year at the I Told You So Bad and being a very trusted mod in here. I got the belts out today, see? The problem is I'm going to have to buy you them because you're going to be back-to-back probably after the season. So I might have 2 for 1, but you're going to need 2 belts because you're back-to-back champs. Ain't that a bitch? Defending Buckeye, defending champ. At least the Big Ten won back-to-back. That's what I keep telling myself. Michigan basketball number 6 in action tonight against Wake Forest. Yep. Yes, sir. That's what we got now. Let's see. Oof. I mean, we've cleared a lot. It's so bad when you try to go anything other than like the 1 month out. It gets so bleh, trashy. Really cluttered too. But I'm gonna go after this because I want to go make sure everything's good. My son, like I said, he hasn't been feeling well. Um, Julie had to bring Scarlett back, so I want to go make sure everything's good. So be blessed, everybody. I went through this the best I could. Um, yeah, we've got some liquidity over the top, but just pay attention to these charts. We'll see if XRP can get back over $2.40.9. That's going to be a very key line here if we're going to start moving up. If not, we'll come back down near $2.30 ish, I would say, or 229, 228 to see if we can hold. And then other than that, we really want to pull up here and then push. Otherwise, we could find ourselves falling back within. But right now, we could be building this inverse right shoulder. So try to be positive with the understanding of, what can come. So be blessed, everybody. I'm going to go do dad stuff. I'm glad we got to come back a second time. Massively oversold now in the 3 hourly again. 4 hourly is nice and oversold like we want. Daily time frame is the only thing that was correcting down. I guess it still got some strength to the upside. Weekly's oversold. So I suspect we're still looking pretty good here. And we come back down to consolidate now. So not a bad thing at all. Could be the weekly reversal still. Just doing its thing.